So Lady Macbeth is based on a 19th century play?
Yeah, it's a novella
Oh,
by
novella.
Nikolai Leskov, Russian novella, and we found an English translation.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
but so it was written in 1865, and we thought we may as well set it that period too, because why change it really?
Yeah, exactly. So with regards to adapting the play, the novella, was it challenging at all?
Yeah, I think so, because what's sketched out in the novella is essentially the plot. And what you need to do, and what Alice Birch, the screenwriter, did so brilliantly, was to create characters, to create real people. And so she developed psychology, she made them sort of live and breathe, and then you get Florence involved, and she then takes it to the next level, which is like they're totally three-dimensional, basically. So.
And what was it about her that attracted you in the beginning?
Well, she's a killer, which I'm sure every single actress would want to play. Well, I mean, if you didn't get that from Lady Macbeth, then she's in for a ride. And she's just a really interesting character. 1865, she kicks back. That's so unlike anything we've seen before. She goes out and gets what she wants. She lives how she wants to live, and she experiences life without the cages of what the men have told her to do. So obviously that was a part that I had to play. I didn't really have to do much thinking. It was just kind of like, yes, quick, before they turn away and ask someone else.
No,
says that.
Once we met Florence, we knew we stopped looking. I mean, it was so clear to see when we met her in the room. We saw the tapes. I'm just being honest. Can I be honest on this? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just saw it, and that's in large part thanks to Shaheen Baig, a casting director who was brilliant in this whole process. She was terrific.
Is there a responsibility to the part that you're playing, that you're this woman that's having an awakening, really, isn't it?
My responsibility, I think. I found pressure in trying to tell her story without losing any beats. I think, as I said before, I found I needed to make it very important that her entire arc was really found. Otherwise, as an audience, we wouldn't support her. You know, for an entire film, we see her kill people and we go, yeah, but she deserves a happy life. Yeah, it's fine. And then, of course, at the end, it's just too much. And for me, that was important to keep that arc going. Otherwise, there'd be a pothole and we wouldn't get it, we wouldn't understand. So many films we watch and we go, that wouldn't make sense, and that's partly because of a link in the story going. And for me that was, I felt incredibly responsible.
It's also something which we found it during script development, actually, as we were working through the film. It's like the idea of like, well, couldn't you make her a little bit more likeable? And it's like, well, you don't complain if there are unlikable male characters, protagonists, basically. Why is it that we find that we need to make these women more likeable? And it's like we're compelled by the character, whatever they do, and especially if you set it up right, then you want them to succeed, you want them to find a victory.
And how did you work together? Because I imagine this is quite an emotional draw for you.
That's unfair.
Kidding.
This is the first I'm
Love
hearing.
him. No, I tell you what was really great was before we started filming, we had about a week. Was it a week? A week of just solid rehearsals of going through the script, and even on the first day, the day before we started filming, Will made us go through the whole film because we were filming in one location, so it was great in terms of just going around the house and figuring out where we needed to be. And he made us go through the whole film in chronological order of going up, down the stairs and back down to the kitchen, and, well, not kitchen, but sitting room. And I remember saying, going up the stairs, do we really have to go upstairs to the bedroom again? He was like, yeah, because this is what she did. This is how boring and monotonous her life was. And that, for me, was incredibly helpful because it just in terms of placing where she was at specific points in the film. Yes, we were filming in chronological order, but there are times when you have to, patch things up. And that was important, that kind of move around the house and figuring out at what point she was knackered, at what point she hated the men in the house, at what point she needed something else. And that came from that rehearsal process.
Yeah.
And for you, I imagine it was being the emotional support as well for your actors, wasn't it?
You've got to build trust. I mean, that's all you need. I mean, that's why the rehearsal period is so important, because even if you just go to the pub, you're still getting to know each other, and you can't ask an actor to do something if they don't trust you. You can't, because basically, especially if there's intimacy, and then there's also those sort of violent scenes as well. They need to know that they're going to be in a safe pair of hands. And so part of that rehearsal process and part of the whole shooting process was that they felt I could ask them to do anything, and that they knew I wasn't going to exploit them.
Yeah. By that point, by the time we started filming, we had done most of the, not completely, we hadn't done the intimate scenes, but we had planned how we wanted it. It wasn't kind of like shocking if Will said, right, can we try it from this way, or can we try it without that? And I think that helped, having that connection before we started, and it then made filming it, it was like we already had all the bits and pieces, we just needed to put it together.
So Lady Macbeth, tell us more about Lady Macbeth.
Oh, more, okay.
It's the story of a young lady in a loveless marriage who is oppressed within reason, and it's how she tries to become and feel right within herself and find her more free way of living.
And when you read the script, what was it about it that you resonated with, really?
I mean, for me, I always wanted to be in period dramas. You watch your Sense and Sensibilities and your Pride and Prejudices, and I think it's great that this opportunity came up. And when I read it and then found that Anna's arc is so rich and there was so much to play with, I was like, oh yeah, put that in the bag. I want that one. Yeah.
And with regards to the characters, what was it about it that when you read it, what did you like about Sebastian?
I like mostly the dialogue. The way it was written was the first thing, because it was entertaining, but in quite like an uncontrived way. It was kind of just, it seemed quite realistic, and I like that first. But I also like that Sebastian's just kind of like a normal guy, and that I understand why in the movie the stuff that happens to him, and it was a pleasure being put in a position where I had to portray that.
And it is a period piece, but is there something for contemporary audiences? Has it been brought up to date?
Yeah, you know what? I've watched it a few times now. I watched it a few times, and just a few. And I think it's interesting the way it mixes a period drama in the set and the time and everything with a very modern woman. And a very modern attitude, and Florence brings such a contemporary, young, youthful, cheeky little character across, albeit quite dangerous. So it's just beautiful because you see a mixture of what women could have been like instead of how they're usually portrayed in that time.
And Cosmo, what can audiences take away with them from watching the film?
Lots of things. Hopefully some nightmares and some good thoughts as well, but I think it's a good kind of question raiser as to like the moral, the context of like what happens when like the subjective morality and how that works, and like if somebody's being oppressed, if they do something that could be perceived as being immoral, then is that immoral, or is it moral because it's justified because it's helping them alleviate themselves from that situation they were originally in? And it's a good thinker in terms of that, and I think that the tone of it will be something that people will dig.
Yeah, true to form. Yeah.